Live in 15. 10 seconds. Get ready. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be with you on today. We're excited about what's going on in the world. There's so many things going on, and we just can't mention them all, but we're just excited to be a part of some of the stuff that's happening in the world today. And the thing that we want to talk about today is the thing that's happening with your money, increasing your money, increasing your wealth, making it possible that you can play a key role in what happens with your money. You know, the Lord talks about don't put your money in the earth. Don't store it in places where people can break in, steal, rob, and take from you unknowingly. And we want to talk about being able to handle your own cash. And today we are happy to have with us Ms. Tasha M. Dyer, Dr. Craig Byfoot, and Gerald D. Rogers. We're just so happy to have. Say hello, Ms. Dyer. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Hello, hello, hello to our listening audience. Hello to all of you all. Be your own bank. 2 million strong. Where you at, everybody? Hello to Rejoice 904. Hello to everyone that's listening. Now, no matter where you're showing in from, no matter where you're chiming in from, make sure that you share this, right? You watching us on Facebook, share. You on YouTube, send it to somebody. Share, share, share. You know, if you're in your car right now driving, I promise you, this is a broadcast you're going to want to hear. So call somebody and tell them they need to listen to this with you as well. So hello, if you're on LinkedIn, share it there as well. So just want to say hello to all of you all. Hello, Bishop. I'm excited to be here. We have our visionary. We definitely have our finance doctor. So just excited. So welcome. Yes, I see you in the chat, 2 million strong. So hello, hello.
Oh, yes, Miss Dyer. Just so excited to have you. You always come with such great energy, and we're just glad to have you on today. Dr. Mr. Rogers, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. You must be in the car. I don't see you. I don't see your face. I don't see your hat. I don't see your uniform today. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm trying to be a good pedestrian and not. I'm keep my eyes on the road as I'm in commuting right now. But to our listening audience, the Rejoice904.com family, we're glad to have you with us. Facebook, social media, wherever you are. And I want to echo the sentiments of Ms. Dyer. Make sure that you're sharing and liking it, and big shout out to you, Bishop, Miss Tasha M. Dyer, the trade whisperer, and our finance doctor, Dr. Bythewood. And folks, I believe you're going to hear a word that's going to be specifically for you today through this forum. We're excited, and 2 million strong is the echo, is the rally cry. 2 million strong.
Amen, amen. Dr. Byfoot, how are you feeling?
I apologize for that technical difficulty. I'm feeling outstanding, Bishop Robinson. Thank you for asking. I am so pleased to be with my esteemed colleagues, the visionary Gerald D. Rogers, the trade whisperer Tasha M. Dyer, and the most illustrious host in the land, Bishop Robinson. To all of our listening audience, we are so pleased to be able to have yet another conversation about how we can raise our vibration, raise our wealth, raise our abundance, and raise the level of everyone in our family for generations to come. Just a quick note, I will be popping off early, but want to get in as much of this beautiful conversation as I can.
Yes, sir, Dr. Byfoot, and we certainly want to say we certainly we'll miss you when you pop off, but we understand you dedicate a lot and donate a lot of your time with young people. Coaching such as the same thing I try to do, and so I just follow your example. And certainly that is certainly a great reason to be dismissed early today. And we're just thankful for this opportunity today to talk about our money. And I don't know about you, but I like to count my own money. I like to handle my own money. I like to spend. I don't get to do that part very often, but I like to spend my own money. I just like my money. Amen. And so I don't know about you. And we want to talk today from 2 Corinthians, chapter 9. You have that, Ms. Dyer? I think we had one verse, one verse. Can't hear you, Ms. Dyer.
Oh, I'm muted. I said I got it, but you said money, so I'm like money, 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 money. Right? Y'all heard that song, right? I'm not singing. Trust me, that's not what that was. All right. So, but I do have the verse for you. So it says, "Now he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will also supply and increase your store of seed and will enlarge the harvest of your righteousness." You want a different version, or is that one okay?
Well, the one I read, the old-fashioned one, talks about multiplying.
Well, you want me to go? See?
Is that next verse? Is that the next verse?
No, hold on. I think it might just be the version. That's why I asked.
Okay.
So now, well, hold on. You know, we have a technology all the way around. I can pull up the next. Let me try to pull it up though. I have to pull it back up.
Well, I can just talk about it. You know,
but let's just talk about it because my technology.
Okay. Okay. So the emphasis here is that God multiplies that which we sow, and I want you to know that those of you who have a little farming background, like Ms. Dyer, know that. What's the matter, Mr.?
You said, "But all I know, the only sowing and reaping I know is from the Bible." I don't know farming background.
Well, most farmers know if you put down one seed in the ground, one seed of corn, and an ear of corn has how many seeds on it. And so one grain, one seed gets all those pieces of seeds that are on the corn, the ear of corn is multiplied tremendously. The one seed, and so we want to know that you always reap more than you sow. Okay, and that's principle we want to carry over into our finances. We want to put our money in the right places so that we can reap more than we sow. Now, if we sow into on stones and on the sidewalk, then we're probably not going to get anything. We call that stony ground. But if we sow into fertile ground, so you can sow, but you can put your money in the wrong place and get absolutely nothing. But if you put your money in the proper places, not in a place where thieves and robbers can break in and take it, but in a place that is secure and protected by God, then there's no doubt about it that you will reap more than you sowed. Absolutely. And so that's what we want to talk about today. Placing your money in places where you can have a positive outcome and reap more than you put in. Ms. Dyer, how about that?
No, I mean, it's absolutely correct. I mean, I love it because if you really go back, right, we can sow. You can sow lack, you can sow brokenness mindset, you can sow poverty, you can sow doubt, you can sow all of that, and it's all going to come back even stronger and harder, you know. But just think about what you're talking about right now, okay? You're talking about sowing and reaping. We're talking about planting our seeds, multiplying. You know, we're talking about putting that seed. And it just makes me think, you know, when we say 2 million strong, you heard me echo that. And so the chat is flooded with 2 million strong because people are grasping. And it's like Mr. Rogers said, our visionary said, it's our rally cry right now. Because if you really think about this movement, you think about the fact that he had a conversation. He had a vision. It started with a vision. He planted that seed. He planted that seed in me. And when he planted that seed, right, once again, what ground do you plant it on? Because when he planted that seed, what happened is from that, I hear echo, hold on. What planted that seed from that came, you know, a BYOB cash out strategy. It came the ability to be able to educate individuals where we're having global impact. You know, when you think about the seeds that you plant, there is power on the other side. You know, I walked up on my daughter right before this call. She's on her iPad. She asked me, could she get on the iPad? She on the charts. So when you think about, right, when you think about seeds that are being planted and seeds that we carry forward, you know, this is ultimately what we want to focus on. We want to focus on planting the right seeds because you want to be mindful of what you're multiplying. And everybody's muted. Is it a technology thing? Is it raining where y'all at? I don't know. What's going on here today? Because everybody is muted.
So let me piggyback
you
on
make
that.
it.
Sorry, Richard.
You're fine, Dr. Byfoot. I had asked for someone to come in behind Miss Dyer.
Okay, so let me piggyback on that wisdom that the trade whisperer just dropped. Because yes, it's about the seed, and yes, it's about what it is you're planting. But sometimes we really have to pay attention to the soil. Just recently, a family member said this to me. Well, why didn't you tell me? And the answer was obvious, because there was not a soil, an environment, a climate for me to be able to speak to them. And I've been saying this since I did a rap session in college on telling the truth. And I said this: truth is a two-way street. There's responsibility of the person telling the truth to speak truth, but there's also the responsibility of the truthee to provide a climate where the truth can be told. So oftentimes we need to be real about the fact that we don't provide a climate for there to be a proper seed. So we need to make sure that we're soil to be able to be coached. We need to make sure the individuals that we're speaking to, there's the proper soil for the seed to be planted. And most importantly, we have to be okay with a soil just not being ready for whatever truth we have, and then take our truth to where the soil matches. So reaping and sowing is the concept, but we should understand all components of it so that we can function in it at a higher degree.
Exactly. Mr. Rogers.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're talking about, as you said so often, that God's economy is simply sowing and reaping. And I definitely share the same sentiments, and knowing that the seed always works no matter what the seed is. And as Dr. Byfoot just alluded, that it's really the soil that we have to become more effective and efficient in making sure that the seed is being disseminated, because the seed will reproduce. So two things that we want to make sure we're controlling. We're controlling the environment, the atmosphere, the type of nurturing that it receives. And then we need to make sure too that we're responsible for gaining and planting the right seeds, seeds of prosperity, seeds of affirmations, and detaching ourselves from those negative encounters and things of that nature. So it is definitely the responsibility of the soil and the one who's planting the seed as well. So it is a two-way street, making sure that we are able to grow. But the beautiful thing about it is God's word will never return to him void, and it always accomplishes the purpose in which he sent it. And we know that anything that God is involved in, it's going to have an expansion, and it's going to multiply because he is expansion. And that's the beautiful part about understanding this concept. And I'm so glad we get an opportunity to share this with our listening audience.
Absolutely. Two things that you and both Dr. Byfoot mentioned, and we'll get to those things that Ms. Dyer mentioned earlier. The environment, and we are the environment audience for this information that's trying to be planted in us so that it would bring forth fruit. And Dr. Byfoot alluded to the fact that sometimes when the soil or the environment is not receptive to the seed. I was out in the yard, up here it's time to seed your lawn for the winter, so it would come out in spring pretty nice, green and pretty. And the wind was blowing, and I was trying to sow the seed, and the seed was flying everywhere because the wind was blowing too strong. So the environment that the yard found itself in was not allowing me to sow the seed properly. And so many times there are environmental issues in our life that won't allow us to receive this teaching, this information that we're trying to share with people. There's something about the environment that's traumatic or stomatic that will not allow the seed to be sown properly. Maybe it's something that happened. Maybe somebody had a bad experience, a business experience. Somebody had a bad experience about something. And somehow we got to learn to put those things that happen behind us and recognize that our purpose, the purpose, reaching our purpose is before us and not behind us. And so we can't let what has happened in the past cause us to reject information that could cause us to prosper. And sometimes that becomes an issue for us taking, because there are people who say, well, I don't do that. I don't do multi-level stuff. I don't do that kind of stuff. That just happened to me in 1967, before Miss Dyer was born. This happened, that happened. And so we always use that as an excuse not to listen to people. But we have to listen to what is right before us. This moment, this time, now is the time. Today is the day, the acceptable day for salvation, not what happened in the past. We got to get past the past and take hold of this information, learn this skill set, and get out there and make yourself some money. Miss Dyer.
I agree. You learn the skill set, get out there and make you some money. But the thing about seeds is, had that seed blown across the street, it would have planted in your neighbor's yard and they would have had some nice grass, right?
Well, I want me to get the money. I don't want, I'm not
but that means your mind is right. Your mindset is there. And so I'm not focused. Now I will coach, develop, I will pour everything I have into you. But because our focus is 2 million strong, 2 million people financially educated and impacted, I cannot be stuck on the individuals. I cannot be stuck on the ground that's not cultivated. I cannot get stuck on the individuals because we have a mission, a focus, a change. And sometimes we have to accept the reality that some people are just a part of the crowd. Some people are not going to shift, because 3 years ago when this movement began, I have individuals now that come back saying, oh my gosh, I wish I would have. I wish I should have, but some people only move with the crowd as their soil. And so when a vision was laid, when a visionary laid out the vision, had he had a conversation with someone else, then just think about it, because I caught the vision. My soil was cultivated. I was ready to receive it. And so that is why I was able to take it and run with it. So you have some individuals that do you honestly think that he was going to stop? He had a vision. Had I not caught the vision, had I not caught the movement, had it not landed in me, right? Do you think he would have stopped? Do you think that he would have said, you know what? Oh, well, I guess we're not going to have a movement. I guess families are not going to be financially educated and impacted. The only person that would have missed out is me. I would have been the one. I wouldn't be sitting here today. We wouldn't be on this radio broadcast with the Trade Whisper. It would be someone else, because it was going to get accomplished. The mission is going to happen. It's going to get done. 2 million families are going to happen. But guess what? It's more than 2 million people out there, 2 million families. So when we say 2 million, we mean it. But I'm throwing the seed. I'm planting the seed. It's out there. And when you decide to cultivate it, when you're ready to run with it, then that's when you run. But some people, we got to know, some people are not going to move until the crowd moves. But some people are going to be ready to run because they see the vision and they understand what's on the other side. Do you understand how good it feels when my son is telling me what he's doing, and he's making plans and building businesses and the things that he's doing at 21 years old? His whole conversation is different. His whole life is different. And that's because I was bold enough and confident enough to catch the vision. My 7-year-old daughter is on the charts in the other room, right? She's analyzing right now. So, she's still in that learning phase, to let her know that it's 5 o'clock. We got a new market somewhere. Don't take no trades right now. So she's still in that learning phase. But the reality is things are different and life has changed.
Absolutely. And hello, we got some folk on from Africa there. Hello. How are we doing today? We're glad you're with us. Mr. Rogers, I want to give you a PhD. Dr. Rogers, how are you today?
Yeah, pass hot developed. PhD. Patient, hoping, and developed.
Patient, is that what it stands for?
And a disciple. PhD. Hey, Bishop, but when I think about the word of God and how God's word is, even in the most trying condition, like you said, one seed, when it dies, it begins to flourish. And I'm just thinking about on so many layers of how when the children of Israel were in bondage, and the more they cried out in that bondage, the more they grew, and the greater the depression was. And when they cried out to God, then they began to expand. And I'm just reminded that God truly gives seed to those who have a heart and a mind to sow. And because of that, even no matter who you're listening, whatever your circumstances may be, where you come from, and even what you physically do not have at this moment, I truly believe, based on the word of God, that if it's your heart's desire to be a sower of righteousness, a sower of great things, then God will put the seed, meaning the people, the voices, the tools, the vehicles in your place to be able to accomplish the harvest that he's given all of us stewardship over. And as we become more committed to being a steward over it, then he will enlarge our barns, he will enlarge our territories and things of that nature. So, but it's really more about a heart posture. And when we have the right heart, then God begins to transform our mind, and then he begins to avail us resources through the lives of our own perseverance, through the lives of people that he connects us with. And this is why I'm so excited to see the continued evolution of the Be Your Own Bank movement.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what I pray for all the time. So God, you said you give a vision, you give provision, and everything that is needed for this vision that was God given to you. God will give it to us that we might handle it appropriately. Don't throw our seed in our neighbor's yard, but continue to plant it, bloom where we're planted, and see what God would do for us. Dr. Byfoot.
Well, first of all, let me say that one day we'll release all of the unrecorded footage of what happens before the show. We were talking about the fact that we're real humans. So Ms. Dyer was giving her anecdote about her 7-year-old daughter. Me being a girl dad of teenagers, I rolled my eyes because my kids can trade too. And I thought to myself, she probably don't even know what PSAR stand for. So now that I got that pettiness out, let me say this. Ms. Dyer hit on a very important concept, and that is this. God is so magnificent in his ability to make sure that what he wants created gets created. He always sends out an idea to multiple people. If you have any challenge with me, be real with yourself. You watch television, you watched a movie, you've heard something, you read something, and you said to yourself, man, I thought of that. Well, God gave it to them too. So the reason why God does that is because it allows the multiplicative impact of action to take place. If he gives it to 10 people, the one that takes the action is the one that is going to bring it into our society, into our kingdom. So it's so important that you recognize that idea you've had for 15 years, you need to take action in 15 seconds. The moment that God gives you a divine download of a decision, of an activity, of something that's going to make the world better, something that's going to make your community better, something that's going to make the wealth and abundance of your family better, you have to act. You have to act. Action is the key for everything that God wants to be planted to become fruit.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so no doubt about it, this movement, the concept of this movement is something that has been planted, and we see people who are with us even today from all over the world, and we're just excited about what God is saying. But we want to talk about, ultimately, it's our goal to cause people to be able to do with their money what the banks do with the money, and to be able to do it successfully and be able to multiply however much money you may have to invest or to put into your own bank. Ms. Dyer, can you talk about that for a minute?
I mean, just think about it. Just think about it for a moment. Just think about all the money that flows through your personal bank account. Just think about the fact that most people think the banks are just loaning their money out, but that's not what they're doing. As a matter of fact, I'm here in Jacksonville, Florida. And when we pulled it up and we looked at it on glassdoor.com, a trader in the city of Jacksonville, the salary is about $168,000 a year. That's just here in Jacksonville. We're not talking about the world, right? We're not talking about another city. We're not talking about, you know, what's happening at the bank on the other side of town. We're talking, or on the other side of Florida. We're talking about right here. So you really think about that, okay? You think about what's happening. You think about what's transpiring. You think about what's out there. Then what that means is that you have the ability as well when you decide to learn a skill set. You know, you have the ability as well when you make a decision to learn a skill set. And what you're doing is just think about the last 5 to 10 years, all the money that's flowed through your personal bank account. Just think about it, because I know you know how much is your bank paid you. How much is your bank paid you for using your own money? So now is the time for you to make a decision, because I already know that you're not excited about that. So now is the time you make a decision that you would learn a skill set to do exactly what the banks do. And that's the gist of it, right? That's it. You know, we have to make sure we have to invest in ourselves. And see, let's talk about sowing and reaping, because I've heard it all before. I've heard everything, you know, well, I can get it off YouTube. We streaming on YouTube. I already know the results. I get the inboxes, right? If you so lack, if you so cheap, if you so broke, if you so frugal, if you sow those things, what do you think you'll reap in return? You know, you cannot go to FSEJ or LSU or any one of those other colleges and sit outside in the parking lot and say, I'm gonna just learn. I'm gonna listen on my listen, and I'm gonna get the same information and education. That's not how it works. You have to invest in yourself. You have to sow that seed if you want to walk in what you desire to walk in. That's the reality. That's it. It's nothing else. That's it.
Wow. Wow. They don't order courses at LSU, Miss Dyer. That's Louisiana.
Now see, I didn't even understand you, but I know when I went there that, you know, the guy is, the classes are so big that they're on the speaker, right? That they speak it in a microphone. So you cannot sit outside and think that you're going to get the same information and quality education if you don't enroll and walk into the classroom. That's what I'm saying. You have to enroll and walk into the classroom. And I'm so glad technology did not allow me to understand what you were saying. That's all.
Now, Ms. Dyer, we when we speak, we want to be heard. And so I'm just upset that technology didn't allow you to hear that valuable information I just shared with you.
I'm not talking about me. I'm not.
Mr. Rogers.
And he in the back giggling. Giggling. He must have heard you.
Yeah, Bishop. Well, I do think about the concept what Ms. Dyer was alluding to, that, you know, some people want to attend the university, but they don't want to pay their tuition. And they think because they're sitting outside the classroom, but you can gain information, but you're not going to get the benefits of the institution unless you're properly enrolled. You know, and then, you know, we can learn from afar, but at the same time, we're talking about, you know, sowing bountifully and reaping bountifully. And the law of reciprocity works across the board. So at some point, you know, we find ourselves always trying to extract and take shortcuts, then that thought process, you know, will be experienced for generations and generations to come. And so when we think about the law of reciprocity, it works in that instance. That's one of the reasons why, and I think Dr. Bythewood alluded to a couple of weeks ago, that now, from a cultural standpoint, we find ourselves where it is now the norm for people to participate in the social welfare system when it was only designed for a temporary stint. But that now, so we have to make sure that we're properly sowing the right seeds as well. And I'm just knowing when we look at where we are right now, the things that's going to enhance our experience, improve our outcomes, and create legacies for generations to come, that's a stronghold that we're diminishing and we're destroying in the minds and the hearts of people, specifically people of color, because this is for everyone. It is available. And we say it all the time, you know, people may have hangups from a perception standpoint when it comes to learning this skill set, but the reality is the skill set is easy to possess. Ms. Dyer has already alluded that her 7-year-old daughters participated, and Dr. Bythewood was talking about his daughters that they could trade to and all that stuff, which is funny because, you know, but think about this though. But the fact that they're being exposed as information, they're carrying the seed now of responsibility. They're carrying the seed of strength when it comes to economic prowess. When many of us in our upbringing, that thought process was eroded from our communities because of, even as we're applying the word of God, there's some education from a scriptural standpoint that made a lot of people of color believe that wealth was not a part of their heritage. So we have to properly interpret the word, and then we have to share the word properly as well, so that we can also get that multiplicative effect in its entirety.
Absolutely. Those big words for you. You sure you went to FAMU? All those big words you're using, wow, that's wow.
Bishop going today.
Bishop, but just so you do know, Bishop, the years that I was at FAMU, we were rated second only to Harvard Business School. So I just want you to know there's some tremendous quality that has come from the land of 70 hills, the highest hills in Tallahassee. And I know Dr. Bythewood can back me up on that.
I have to, because I work for her and my daughter goes there. So I think PhD stands for putting him down. Come on now, Bishop.
Yes. There we go.
He was just sharing his broad vernacular with us, and I just wanted to let him know I noticed. I noticed. I paid attention to it. And so,
I appreciate that, Bishop, sharing that, you know, that vernacular as well. You know, you exude that excellence too from
Dr. Bythewood, before you have to leave us, you want to comment on what we're talking about?
I absolutely do. And first, quick shout out to FAMU's homecoming this weekend. I hope everybody has a wonderful and safe time. So this conversation that we're having is so wonderful to me, because we're literally looking at every component of this process. And Bishop, you used the analogy early on of farming, but it really is farming. And the thing about farming is that you have a choice of which crop you're going to focus on. And we are in the same situation where we have to decide, are you going to focus on a crop that is going to bring life to you and those around you, or are you going to do the opposite? And as we make that decision, we still find ourselves continually farming. We're farming on how we use the skill set. We're farming on how much information we use. We're farming on the education that we're going to get, how aggressive we are. Ms. Dyer gave a homework assignment last week that everybody go in the academy and redo or listen to videos. So at every point that you have an opportunity to choose a crop, we have to make sure that we do so wisely, because we are reaping what we're sowing. And let me say one more thing. The principle that Mr. Rogers just said about reciprocity is so important, because literally when we try to shortcut God, God shortcuts us. That's just the way the universe works. If you have an attitude of trying to get over, then you'll find that the world is getting over on you. Every day I read the self-confidence formula in Think and Grow Rich, and it says that everything that you do should be done in truth and justice. And when you do that, then it allows you to have wealth and position for a long-standing time. So we have to recognize that when you try to sit outside of LSU, Ms. Dyer, when you try to do it without going through the proper protocol, it will always come back to you in the long run. Do it right.
Ms. Dyer, I know you want to comment. I'm not. I'm just going to pass it on. I'm not
Do
going to
it
get.
and do it right when you try to sit outside. That's y'all over there having a good time on my background, on my culture, on my city, on my state, but I'm going to rep it and I'm going to rep it hard in the wrong vernacular. All right? So this
Wow. That well spoken, Dr. Bytewood. Well spoken.
He did it. I appreciate that, Dr. B.
Yeah. I think, Dr. Bytewood, that Ms. Dyer alluded to the fact that those that don't want to pay the tuition, you call that student loan, and they go student loan and don't pay the loan back. That's what usually happens.
No, that wouldn't. It was even deeper than that, because we stream. We're here, right? And so you have individuals that will attempt to just, oh, I don't need to do this and I don't need to do that. But then they, well, what about this? And I'm getting this. And actually you're not, because I'm always ask you the question, how's it working out? Has it been successful for you? So I meant the ones, because I am someone who used to literally, I'm someone that hung out at Southern before, that's why I couldn't go there, because I was there too much. So, I'm someone that hung out at Southern. I've even sat in a few classes at Southern and at my aunt's school, but no tuition was ever paid. So what do I expect in return? You're not, you have to sow in order to reap. So are you sowing cheating? Are you sowing, what are you sowing? Are you sowing shortcuts? Are you sowing, going back to what Mr. Rogers just said, what are you sowing, right? What are you sowing? And you do need to pay student loans back. But that I was more along the lines of, if you're trying to take shortcuts, then that's what you're going to continue to generate in your life, and you're never going to walk in what you desire. Remember, you don't get out of life what you want, you get out of life who you are. So who are you?
Absolutely. Good question, Ms. Dyer. Good question. Mr. Rogers, who are you?
I'm a child of the Most High, and I have a responsibility to represent properly, because he invested. And even if we go back and I hope this really captures the essence of the validity of the industry in which we expose people to. 2 Corinthians 8:9. Ms. Dyer, can you read that for us real, please?
Keep talking. I gotta pull it up. Hold on.
Because it's very important. So that and I hope these words really, 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 like I said earlier, we want to sow the seed of understanding today. That so for those who are listening, that you'll no longer be intimidated and feel like you don't need to invest in yourself to gain this information. But it's very important, because when we look at where we are right now, from an education standpoint, there were very few conversations that were held in our households teaching you and I how to make money. And I'm just excited to know that what Dr. Bytewood is doing with his children, teaching them as they're still going through and pursuing whatever that ultimate outcome will be. But the fact that they were exposed to this, I want us to all think about how different would our lives be for many of us, though, for those of you listening, if those type of conversations were being held in your personal households. I mean, you think about Ms. Dyer's daughter at 7 years old, the mind that she is literally examining these charts to know what to do. So that type of sowing into the lives and the hearts of the people when it comes to economic prowess is a paramount, and it's very essential. But you have that verse, Ms. Dyer?
I have it. It says, "For you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor, that you through his poverty might become rich."
And so when we think about that, that is actually physically talking about material gain and material wealth. And I think about it from this perspective. For those of you who don't understand the magnitude, Christ himself was the king. He left his heavenly destination. He came into the earth realm, and he exchanged the poverty, meaning physical poverty, spiritual poverty, as well as financial poverty. He died. We're talking about a seed dying in the ground, and then it raises, and then now the crop becomes. But think about it from this perspective, and this is how authentic the foreign exchange market is. In that transaction, there was a barter, there was a trade that took place. And there was a betrayal in that trade, but because of that trade, 30 pieces of silver was exchanged. But out of that 30 pieces of silver, you and I now have the luxury to become wealthy because of what Christ did. So that's how long the foreign exchange market has been around. For 30 pieces of silver, Christ exchanged his life. He gave up his deity. He embraced our humanity. And because of his resurrection, we now have the ability of responsibility to become rich through that exchange, the foreign exchange market.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about something Ms. Dyer emphasized earlier, as she talked about people saying they can't afford to take this opportunity. And if you think about here in chapter 9, Paul is encouraging the Corinthians to get their offering ready because, and he compares to those who had given out of their poverty. They took money that they really didn't have as extra money, and they invested it in those saints who were poor and hungry in Jerusalem. And so Paul says that the folk at Corinth ought to do likewise. And so the principle here is, if you're waiting for the opportunity to have a big pile of extra money, then there's just simply a lot of things that you're not going to invest in. And then you have to make a decision about what is the better investment, to eat the seed or to plant the seed. And that's absolutely where we find ourselves in a situation where we're eating all the seed and nothing to plant.
Why would you want to eat the seed? Why would you want to eat the seed? Like, why?
Well, Miss Dyer, you eat beans, you eat watermelons, you eat a lot of stuff.
After it finish growing, after you planted the seed, we know you gotta plant the seed first. But see, like, what is extra money? I never looked at my account and it was like some extra money. What is extra money?
That's what people are looking for. They wait for that.
And trust me, I know. I've heard it. But what is extra money? Because the reality is we make decisions all the time. Like, we make decisions. It's all about value. So it's no such thing as extra money. You know what I mean? Like, at what point? So we have to stop putting things off. And see, that's that spirit of procrastination. That's that spirit of lack. You know what I mean? You can operate in a lack even with money in your account, because you understand that you have to, invest. You have to, really invest in yourself. You have to pour out in order to reap, in order to gain, in order to, have it come back to you. And that whole thing about tomorrow, right? Tomorrow. Well, guess what? That never happens. And if we didn't learn anything, if you didn't learn from COVID, right? If you didn't learn from COVID, that you cannot, it's no such thing as a perfect moment, a perfect time, because you see the world was impacted at the same time. So that was everybody. So at what point, if COVID didn't teach you, I don't know what will, because you have to make that shift in that trend. You have to.
Well, you're right, absolutely right. And procrastination often robs us, and is the greatest thief that we face many times, because many times we miss the windows of opportunity and they get past us. I was having a conversation with one of my friends in California about a month and a half ago, and I mentioned to my sister that there was a new electronic coin coming out called Shiba, and I didn't know it, but she went online right quick and she invested in, I think, a couple $100, and she told me yesterday, she said, that Shiba stuff you told me about, it's worth $700 now. And so the 200 that turned into 700 in a matter of 2-3 weeks, she took advantage of the window of opportunity that was there. And sometimes we have to jump in when the getting is good. Now, folk who jump in because I'm saying this right now, it may not make anything, but she told me a few minutes ago, it's still going up. It's still going up. And so, when the opportunity is there, you miss out procrastinating, making up excuses about what you don't have, and thinking. And the first thing is to think, why can't I? Instead of giving yourself all kind of reasons why you shouldn't. And so you're absolutely right, Ms. Dyer. We have to jump on the opportunity. Mr. Rogers. Dr. Bywood, are you still there? I still see it.
Well, is he coming? Well, I'm gonna comment on that since you brought that up. Don't get caught up in that like that Dogecoin, right? See, that's the thing about crowds. You know, the same thing we're warning against, because you know, you want to make sure that even that is from an educated standpoint, because what happens is you got a Facebook fad, a Facebook trend, and everybody's like, oh, Dogecoin to the moon. And then Shiba, you know, and actually that one, both of those in particular, I had, you know, well before it, you know, even before it came, but it came through research, it came through education, it came through all of that. It did not come through, oh my gosh, somebody posted on Facebook, I need to go get this, right? Because the same people that did that, when we pulled up from an educated standpoint and we went through on one of our calls and we talked about the Dogecoin, and at that moment we were talking about, hey, you see where it's overbought. We, you know, just really got to analyzing it, and then you had everybody upset. And people, you don't want to put money in based on a fad, and that's actually when Robinhood had to stop taking orders. So because everybody get caught up, you don't want to be caught up in a fad, like in that crowd thing. You want it to be from an educated standpoint. So because you mentioned that, and I know it's a Facebook thing right now, I want to make sure that people are not, I want you to understand we're not co-signing your friend telling you to go buy it, okay? I'm not co-signing
that. That's why I said you might make a dime, you do it now, but that was 2 months ago when we did that. But
and that's when it had dropped real low. So it has to be from an educated standpoint. So so it's who I know you had caught on Dr. B, our visionary. One of them back yet?
Yeah, I thought Dr. Bywood said he had to leave. Is it past his time? He's gone already. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers, he got out of the car. What is he doing?
Yeah, no, I'm
Are you there, Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Can you? Okay. No, I mean, once again, we're talking about giving seed, and at the end of the day, it's a couple of things that the dynamics that we're talking about. Once again, we have to go back to a heart posture, even from a sowing and increasing and enlarging our territory perspective. You know, if that seed of greed is planted, then, you know, that's how people end up eating their seed, because they're consumed with greed and consuming it for themselves and not being benevolent, because the true essence of having a big harvest is that you may be a blessing to others. And once we get that dynamic understanding, then that's when God really begins to open up the windows of heaven, that, you know, he'll pour out a blessing that we'll have room to receive. So the reality is, once God gives you increase, can he trust you with the increase? And that's going to also come back to a heart condition. And so we have to make sure that, even as we're talking about from a farming perspective, that we've talked about the seed and we talked about the soil, but then we got to make sure that that soil remains fruitful. And it means it has to be cultivated. It has to be broken up, so that those things that don't choke out that good seed as well. So we have to be mindful that we're always fertilizing and utilizing the proper fertilization, so that we can get a continued crop as it grows and it multiplies.
Mr. Rogers, I didn't know you were, well, that's right. You did go to agriculture college. That's right. So you would know about that. You would know about that. That's what A&M means, right? That's what A&M is for, right?
Yeah, that is what the A&M is from. Yeah.
Agriculture and mechanical. Yeah, that's nice.
Bishop got plenty of jokes today, boy.
You know what? I took my booster shot earlier, about an hour ago, and I think it had an adverse reaction, by making me to tell jokes.
That's what it is. I'm like, okay, Bishop. You know, next week. Oh, I do want to put this out here. I know, you know, next week I need you on your best behavior. We have our salute to veterans, right? We have a Boots to Bank movement, and we have many veterans that are going to be joining us next week on this radio broadcast, and understanding why this is important for veterans, why this movement is so important. So next week, bring a veteran with you, bring a veteran, bring a veteran, bring a veteran. I'm telling you, you want to be here.
Well, you know, people think that, you know, the military retirement is everything, all that in a bag of chips. Is that the case? Is that not the case?
Why do you think everybody is back at work? Why do you think that people set careers up before they get out? I don't know about, I know this is for next week, but I don't know about you, but after you raise your hand and say, you know what, I'm willing to give my life, because ultimately that's what that means, right? You're willing to pay that ultimate sacrifice. Why is it I need a whole nother career when I get out? And that's why so many people don't transition well, because you got to remember, we have a base pay, and then we have other things that don't end in pay, and those things they take away. So your retirement is off of your base pay. So when you're thinking about like the housing allowance, your food allowance, it's not as an officer, but you get a clothing allowance, all of the things that you get, that's allowances. When you deploy, you get the deployment status, dollar deployment things, and then the tax-free, all of those things, you're not paying taxes on deployments. So all of the things that you get and you receive, that's not incorporated in there. We're talking about base pay. So and then it's not even the same for those that enlist now or join today. But you talk about 50% of what? 50% of that base pay, not all of the other monies that we get that add up. So even a roof that you have over your head, the military is paying for it up until a certain point based on the cost of living. So what most people have to calculate rent or mortgage as far as, their money, as far as out of their pay that they receive, that's not something we ever had to worry about, because that's an allowance that we get. We get an allowance to make sure we eat. So all of that goes away. It's gone. Goodbye.
Wow. Thanks for the education on that, because, this is an assumption that sometimes not only myself, but others have made. So there it is again. We have to be concerned about making sure that what we sow is in good seed sown in good soil, and that it will bring forth a multiplication of that which we've sown. And so today we talked about making sure that we're able to multiply that which we sow. And here's the thing, Ms. Dye brought up earlier, and I think it's very interesting that the base pay in Jacksonville for a trader is $168,000. That's a start, and they're starting you out with that. And so that's what just the training. If a young person doesn't get anything else but the training on how to trade, so if they want to go get a job, they can go get a job. And that's not something they didn't teach me trading at Abilene Christian University. Did they teach you trading at FAMU, Mr. Rogers? At LSU, Ms. Dyer? Did they teach you trading?
Not at all. Not one time. Yeah. I did it for. Go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
Well, no, and that's the amazing part about it. One of the reasons why, we've often said that, education, we've always, promoted, and I want to be known that we're definitely for education, but specifically when it comes to money matters, there's a different understanding because even the curriculums that are out there right now, for those who have their bachelor's administration and MBAs, it's that concept of running a business and capitalizing a business, once again, has been hidden in plain sight, even in the curriculums for those who have their those specialized specific degrees in business administration. So this is what we're talking about, why this information is so important, because this is true economic empowerment, understanding how money actually works and making it work for you versus you and I working for us. And those degrees that we have in those spaces and places are specifically designed to make sure that you're working for your money and not your money working for you. So that's why this education is paramount. That's why this seed is important, that we're making sure that those 2 million strong get an opportunity to participate and receive this information.
Absolutely. We want our money to work for us. We don't want to get out there hustling and chasing money, because it's really can be a frustrating event when you're out there chasing dollars, and especially when you get on the platform chasing dollars, you make bad decisions. You don't remember what Ms. Dyer said do, not to do, and you just see money and you think you can get it real quick, and boom, it don't happen that way. And so absolutely, we need to be focused. We need to be trained we need to develop ourselves so we are good soil. Then we need to know what to do with our money, because there's so many opportunities out there and so many different people reaching their hands out. They go to bed at night trying to figure out how to get what's in your pocket into their pocket. And so you just got to be really vigilant about what you do with your money. And that's why Jesus told us that we don't put our money in earthly places where people can steal and rob us and take from us what God has given us to use for the building up of his kingdom. And so we have to really stay focused and take advantage of opportunities to learn, opportunities to impress your mind, protect your ear gates from foolishness, and allow information that will cause you to grow in a personal growth to take place, or more aware of what's really happening in the world, more aware of what's going on other than in the hood, but what's going on in the world, how money works on a global scale and not just on the corner, on greasy corner. And so we just have to be, we have to allow ourselves, we have to avail ourselves of information that will cause us to grow. Ms. Dyer, we got 5 minutes.
I'm still laughing at the greasy corner. So
unmute yourself, Ms. Dyer.
I'm unmuted. You can't hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, I said I'm still laughing at the greasy corner. You know, I'm still laughing at that. So I mean, you're right, Bishop. It's just really a time for a change of mindset. It's time to operate in excellence. It's time, you know, to really have that shift. It's time to put you first. It's time for us to pay it forward. It's time for us to operate and do that, because why it should never be acceptable. It should never be okay. It should never be where we operate in lack. And it's like I was listening this weekend and just really thinking about some things, because we've joked and we've talked about it on this call, you know, about the 1830 rule, about your kids turn 18 and they got 30 days to get out. We've joked about, because that's the mentality that we used to have. We've joked about the fact that, you know, it's not a joke. We've joked about all of those things, but it's not a joke. We're supposed to leave a legacy for our children's children. We're supposed to leave a legacy. We're supposed to leave a shift. That means if I leave a legacy for my children's children, that means that I'm setting up my children, which are setting up them, which means it's not the fact that I just did all the work. I'm sorry, I said I just raggedy cough. But it doesn't mean that I still have to do all the work, or I still, you know, it means that we're supposed to continuously evolve. I'm supposed to plant seeds of prosperity. I'm supposed to plant seeds of growth. I'm supposed to plant seeds into them so that they can evolve and that they can move up and move forward. That's ultimately what's supposed to happen. And so if my mentality is that, oh, you're 18, go out and get it. Well, I had to get it. You got to get it. Then you're failing. We're failing. And so we have to stop that, and we have to press forward, and we have to acknowledge, and we have to, you know, press forward, and we have to build them up so they can prosper, so we can operate in the kingdomness that we're designed to operate in.
Absolutely. Mr. Rogers. Are you there, Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, as you said, it takes one seed to produce a harvest, and out of one, pluribus unum, and it's actually written on the adage on the dollar. It says pluribus unum, one to many in the Greeks. So out of one becomes many, a multitude. So all it takes is one shift in your mindset. All it takes is you understanding that one seed can create a forest, can create multiple forests, because now of God being the grand multiplier.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed you guys today. You really were encouraging. I hope we encourage somebody who's been listening to us on today. Ms. Dyer, can you close us out by telling people how they can get in contact and get involved in the Be Your Own Bank movement?
Absolutely. So ladies and gentlemen, what you want to do is you want to go to our YouTube channel, right? You want to go to our YouTube channel. You want to make sure that you subscribe. And yes, that is BYOB Movement. You want to make sure that you are subscribed. And I promise you want to be back on there at 9 o'clock tonight. 9 p.m. And then our website, beyourownbankmovement.com. You want to visit us there. But also, how can you get in touch with us? By texting BYOB to 55469 on the YouTube channel or the website, and send us a message. Beyourownbankmovement.com. Let me tell you, you have to spell it out. But also, I'm telling you, BYOB Movement, BYOB Movement Worldwide. Find us on YouTube, find us on Facebook, find us on YouTube, find us on Facebook, and we'll be streaming tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a phenomenal educator who is going to be really helping you understand exactly what this movement is all about. So you want to make sure that you are present and you show up. I look forward to seeing you all this evening. And remember, bring a veteran next week, because it is a salute to veterans, understanding that now is the time for you to be your own bank. All right, BYOB, accept the challenge and be your own bank. We love you guys. Until the next time, we'll see you then.